Ibrahim Traoré shuts down Trump on live TV. Crowd goes silent. Donald Trump walked onto that stage expecting applause. What he got was humiliation. Across from him sat a young African soldier turned president, calm, composed, and ready to make history. And in just 7 words, Ibrahim Traoré left Trump speechless. This wasn't just a debate. It was a global reckoning. What happened next? The crowd went silent, but the world exploded. Stay tuned, because you're about to witness the moment power got humbled on live TV. Please support us by subscribe, like, and share for more with activating the notification bell. Thank you. When news broke that former U.S. President Donald Trump had agreed to a live televised international leadership panel, the world buzzed with anticipation. The panel, titled Voices of Power, Global Leadership in a Changing World, was being hosted in Geneva, Switzerland, and boasted a diverse lineup of speakers: European diplomats, tech entrepreneurs, and rising political figures from the global south. But one name on the list set social media ablaze: Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the 36-year-old interim president of Burkina Faso. Known for his unapologetic stance against neo-colonialism and his sweeping reforms to root out corruption, Traoré had become a symbol of resistance across Africa. His presence on the panel alongside Trump was both unexpected and explosive. The world tuned in. What began as a formal discussion would soon erupt into one of the most viral political moments in recent history. The panel was held in an opulent hall filled with journalists, diplomats, students, and business leaders. A sea of cameras captured every movement. Trump walked in first, waving, confident and smirking. He wore his trademark navy suit and red tie. The applause was loud, some from admiration, some perhaps from fear or spectacle. Then Traoré entered, dressed in his simple military uniform with a Burkinabe flag patch on his arm. He walked with quiet dignity. The room hushed. The applause for him was cautious, but by no means weak. He nodded in acknowledgement, choosing not to wave. Moderator Anya Belmondo, a respected BBC journalist, opened with gentle questions on leadership and global cooperation. Trump dominated early. He spoke of economic growth, border security, and America first, all with familiar bravado. "Let's be honest," Trump said, gesturing toward Traoré. "These smaller nations, they don't have the infrastructure, the freedom or the stability. That's why they rely on countries like the US and France. We're doing them a favor." The air stiffened. A few chuckles echoed in the room. Trump grinned, satisfied. Traoré looked at him, expression unreadable. Anya turned to Traoré. "Captain Traoré, would you care to respond?" He adjusted the microphone. His voice was calm, measured, but powerful. "President Trump," Traoré said, "your country has indeed helped build infrastructure, but not always to uplift. Sometimes to extract, sometimes to control." The audience leaned in. Trump scoffed. "Excuse me, but I don't think lecturing the United States is a good strategy if you want aid. The US has sacrificed lives and dollars around the world for people who can't manage their own countries." There was a murmur of discomfort from the audience. Traoré remained calm. He leaned forward. "Let me ask you this," he said. "If a man comes into your home and paints your walls, but in exchange he takes your gold, controls your kitchen, and tells your children what to eat, has he helped you or has he colonized you?" Gasps swept through the room. Trump's eyes narrowed. "That's a ridiculous analogy. The US doesn't colonize. You don't need to plant a flag to dominate." Traoré interrupted. The room went dead silent. "You control through debt, through NGOs, through military bases. You give with one hand and take 3 times more with the other. And when we resist, you call us unstable." Trump leaned back, visibly annoyed. Anya stepped in, trying to keep the panel on course, but the energy had shifted. The young African leader had just reframed the entire debate. The moderator asked another question, this time about economic sovereignty. Trump jumped in, declaring that African nations were irresponsible with their resources. "They don't know what to do with their own wealth," he said. "They have diamonds, oil, gold, yet look at the poverty." Traoré took a long breath before responding. His next words would become the most replayed moment of the broadcast. "You speak of poverty," Traoré began, "but it was not born in a vacuum. Africa's wealth didn't vanish, it was relocated. We know where it went. To Swiss banks, to French chateaux, to American corporations. And when we ask for it back, we're called corrupt. He paused. Africa is not poor. She is looted. Silence. You once said, "Make America great again." I ask you, when was Africa allowed to be great? When was she left alone to chart her own path, free of foreign puppeteering? The audience remained frozen. Trump tried to interject, but no words came. Traoré continued, "We do not ask for pity. We ask for partnership or peace, but if you offer only control, then we say no, not anymore." The crowd, unsure of protocol, slowly began clapping. First a few, then more, until the room filled with applause. Some stood up. Trump looked stunned. He glanced at Anya, then at the cameras. His ego had just taken a direct hit, and the world was watching. The panel ended with polite thanks, but no one was talking about the closing statements. Every major network ran the same headline: Traoré silences Trump on live TV. Clips of Traoré's speech exploded online. TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, all flooded with subtitles, reactions, and breakdowns. Even critics of Traoré couldn't help but admit it. The man had delivered a masterclass in controlled fire. In Burkina Faso, crowds poured into the streets in celebration. Across Africa, youth movements erupted in pride. "Africa is not poor, she is looted," became a rallying cry. In the US, Trump's supporters tried to dismiss the exchange, calling it a setup or media spin, but the footage was undeniable. Even conservative outlets like Fox News struggled to spin it. He looked rattled. Small. Trump, furious, later tweeted, "I've dealt with tougher guys than Traoré. He'll be forgotten in a year." But by then, the damage was done. Traoré's popularity skyrocketed, not just in Africa but globally. He was invited to speak at universities, summits, and youth conferences. His speech became part of curricula on power, resistance, and diplomacy. In a world desperate for authentic leadership, Traoré had struck a nerve. He didn't shout, he didn't insult, he didn't need theatrics. He told the truth, and the world went silent to listen. One moment can change a narrative. One voice, when unshaken, can echo across continents. On that stage in Geneva, Captain Ibrahim Traoré reminded the world of something long forgotten. Dignity cannot be colonized. And sometimes the quietest words leave the loudest scars.